Hey there, I'm Kyle Goldie, and you're listening to episode number 16 of the Elevate podcast. And on today's episode, I have a really special guest, Makayla Madden. She's a portrait photographer from a small town near Boise, Idaho, and she's here to share some super valuable insight to her six-figure portrait business and some tips on how you can do just the same. And of course, if you have listened to my show in the past, you know that we cut out all the fluff and get straight to the heart of the matter. And she's super sweet too, so let's dive right into it. Hey everyone, welcome to the Elevate podcast with me, your host, Kyle Goldie. I'm a husband, traveler, photographer, and successful small business owner. And each week I'll be sharing authentic, actionable advice or incredible, inspirational interviews to help improve the way you run your life. So join us, take notes, and most importantly, take action. Let's get straight into it. Hey, Makayla, I just wanted to say a really quick thanks so much for popping on the show here. I know that you have a really busy schedule, and I just wanted to say thank you because I know that this episode right here is going to have some serious knowledge bombs for all of the portrait photographers out there that are looking to get into IPS or switching over from digital into that IPS world. And before we get kicked off here, I do want to let everybody know that I am not an IPS photographer right now. So this is going to benefit you whether you are an IPS photographer or not. So stick with us. Yeah, it's always cool to chat with other photographers that, are doing well and they're running their business like a business. And
Exactly.
yeah, it's crazy because honestly, I've been a full-time photographer now for 10 years, just FYI. And it's just interesting because over the years, like 90% of photographers just never really figure it out. And they end up like quitting or they get a day job and they just get scared to kind of level up.
Yeah.
And they have so many mindset issues over pricing themselves and limiting beliefs. Like they don't think that they can even hit $100,000.
Right.
So
I think it's crazy. No, that's why I'm really passionate because like the idea of doing like 4 to 5 shoots in a day makes me want to die. Like I just did a boudoir marathon just to kind of because in November I was like I don't want to be shooting all month. Like it's before the holidays and it's been crazy in this fall, and so I just did like a boudoir marathon because the studio does make that easier. Like the other place I rented out for 2 years, like I tried doing a marathon there, but it was just a little. Basically, it was like a trailer that they had gutted and put nice flooring and white walls in and a bed. And so it worked well, but like I tried doing a marathon there and it was a nightmare because I'd have clients show up from my hair and makeup artist house and have to just wait. And it was just one room. And then our studio has a like separate hair and makeup place like within it. And then we've got like an IPS room and all this stuff. So it was so easy to just do a marathon where people came in, did their hair and makeup over on one side. I was shooting on the other. And then we just swapped out, but doing the 4 in one day, it was like worse than a wedding because boudoir is, you have to pose them and like and do all this stuff.
It's mentally exhausting.
It's exhausting. Yeah. By the like last client, I was like, I had like a really specific shot list for everybody. So like I knew exactly what I needed to go into, but outside of the shot list by like my last client, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm dying. Like, I can't think. So so I'm all about like a 1 shoot a week is my happy place. It's a happy place. Maybe 2, like when I do 2, I can do it, but it gets pretty tiring. So I'm definitely all about working smarter, not harder.
You and me both. It's crazy because like I see so many like wedding photographers because that's primarily what I do these days, and they burn themselves out because like so many people are like, oh, I charge $1,500 or $2,000, and I need to have 80 weddings a year to make my income I want.
I'm like, there's, 52 weeks in a year. So the math doesn't add up with that. And like people that go from like, they're like, oh yeah, I went to one wedding in the States and then I flew to Paris and I did another one the next morning. And I'm like, wait, how? Like, how do you do that?
There's only so long you can do that before you're just like, my life sucks. Like Paris was horrible because I was just exhausted. I didn't sleep on the plane.
Or your work starts sucking and you can't give that energy to your clients, which is the number one thing is like, if it's sacrificing what I give to my clients, then I need to cut something out because that's what's important and that's what gets you more work and that's what we do it for. Like we shouldn't be doing it because you want to shoot in a cool place. We should do it for them. So
1,000%.
That's great that you realize that and do this now because you're amazing and you're so good at what you do.
I'm all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I want to dive deep
Yeah.
into everything here. And so let's just get it going, I guess.
Okay.
Let's just kick it off here.
Yeah.
So I would love it if you could share a bit about your story. So things like your background, how long you've been a photographer, and just what types of clients that you serve primarily right now.
Yes. So my background is that I had a camera in my face since I was a baby. My mom was obsessed with cameras and recording, and I really credit a lot of that to why I just fell in love with cameras and photography in general. Since I was little, like in seventh grade, when we would do career day, I was like, I'm not going to college. I'm going to be a photographer. Like that's just what I told people. And the teachers were like, okay, you little 11-year-olds, you don't know what you're talking about. But I did. And so I first picked up like I guess you could call it a camera. It was just a little shooting point back in the day when I was like 12.
Yeah.
And I was obsessed with taking pictures of flowers and like macro shots, just like everyone is when they first get into it. And then I went and I applied for yearbook when I entered high school because we didn't have any photo classes or anything in middle school.
Yeah.
And so in high school, I applied for yearbook, and then I also took a digital photo class one semester. Fell even more in love with photography, learned more of the technical aspects of it because I always had the eye. Everyone said that you have the eye. I'm like, okay, whatever the eye is, I don't know. I just shoot it. But
Yeah.
I learned more about the eye in yearbook or in digital photo class, and within yearbook, that's where I had access to like a little more. I had a Nikon D5000 I could pick up whenever and use it to take pictures for the yearbook, but I was always taking it home and like using it for myself.
Yeah.
And I loved it so much that I ended up buying one for myself that year and just shooting on that. I shot on the D5000 for basically all through high school. And then I finally got like a nifty 50, like they
Nice.
say. I did
Yeah.
all my research and then upgraded to a D700 outside of it. And then I went full time with photography in like 2015.
Right on.
So I like had stopped shooting for like a year and I had almost given up on it completely because I felt really isolated where I'm at. Like I tried to shadow other photographers and learn about them and learn about what they do, and no one really wanted to help. They just were kind of guarding it. Like they're like,
Yeah,
oh,
they
I don't
kind
want
of feel like you're like the up and coming competition, and
yeah,
like they
they're
don't
like, I'm
want to
not
like
going to help the
train their
competition.
competition. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I just like, I kind of gave up because I need community. Like I need
Yeah.
that. And I just felt so alone. Like, I'm like, I don't know how anybody makes this work. Like, I don't know how to like make this a business. How do you make money? How do you live off of it?
Yeah.
But then I got a job with Bella Baby Photography, which I think you should have it in Seattle. But it's a company nationwide where you get hired as like basically a subcontractor,
Yeah.
and you take pictures of babies in hospitals, and then you get a commission whenever people buy those photos.
Oh.
So I went, like, they hired me, and I don't really like taking pictures of babies, but it was something where I'm shooting every day and I can make money, and it's like something that's guaranteed. And then I ended up quitting my job at Dutch Bros, working there, but then I also worked on building my business. I was like, it's time to go full time and just be a photographer. So Bella Baby really helped launch me and get me that consistent income and get really good with I bought a D750, get really good with my gear, comfortable with seeing people every day and just shooting every day. And they're actually who opened me up to the IPS business model because that's what they do. And then I ended up quitting that in the very end of 2016. And I finally went full time with my own business in 2017. So
That's really rad. Like,
2
you
years
kind
ago.
of make me sound super old because you say when you're in high school and you were doing the digital photography class,
Yeah.
I didn't have digital
Right.
cameras.
Yeah. You're like, I did a film thing. Like we did
Yeah, I
dark
was stuck in
room.
the dark room and stunk like chemicals when I went
Yeah.
home and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, now
Yeah.
I
We
feel
used the
really
Lightroom.
old. But my audience, like, they know that I have a background in commercial and editorial fashion
Mm-hmm.
photography as well as my wedding career. And they know that I'm actually not an IPS user in my wedding business.
Right.
And as I have mentioned over the years to photographers, you definitely can earn six-figure income with both methods.
Yes.
It's just a matter of how you structure everything.
Yep.
So here on this podcast episode, I would love it if you'd be able to share a bit more about your IPS model and how you structure it.
Absolutely. So yes, it's totally true. You can do both. That's what I always tell people. There's no right way to do it. It just
Yeah,
what
it's not like there's
works for
one
you.
path.
Yeah, it's what you want to offer for your clients, what your
Totally.
business is going to be about. So IPS, yeah, Bella Baby's what kind of introduced me to it. I fell in love because there you shoot for free, and then you edit the photos at the hospital, and then within like 20 minutes you come back and show them a quick slideshow, and then if they want to buy the photos,
Super fast.
they have packages. Yeah,
Yeah.
and their packages aren't all prints. Like they sell an all digital package.
Yeah.
But I fell in love with seeing people's reactions,
Yeah.
after taking your photos. I'd never gotten that. And so with IPS, like I just kind of decided like that's what I want to do. I want to offer that experience where I can be there to guide them through, what's going to work best for them. I shoot primarily, so I shoot basically women's portraiture is what I do. So I do boudoir and I do seniors, and I love shooting women. I shoot guys not very often. So,
Yeah.
so I really fell in love with just being able to like capture women, like empower them, and then give them artwork that they can keep for forever and that their loved ones can have for forever. So with my IPS business model, I have a sitting fee, which is $425, and it books them, it basically reserves their session date, gets them hair and makeup, gets them access to my studio if they
Right.
want, and then gets them an ordering session. And then afterwards, I sit down with them in person and they pick out, how they want their photos.
Yeah.
And I do a lot of my prep in my consults. Like I don't just show them blindly, like at the ordering session, okay, here's my prices.
Yeah.
I go into it from like day one emailing me. They know the average investment spent, what they can expect to spend, that they
Yeah.
don't have
Perfect.
to spend a certain amount,
Yeah.
but that, there's these products that they can have. Then really all it comes down to by the time we do ordering is like, okay, you've seen your photos. What do you for sure want? And then I help them kind of narrow that down and pick that out.
Yeah. It's
Uh,
really smart that you set the expectations early on.
yeah. I mean, if you don't, it's just like going to a restaurant. Like you want to know what you're going to, how much it's going to be. Because I might be hungry for lobster, but then if I see the price, maybe I'm not so hungry for lobster. Like
Yeah.
I'll figure out something else. So I fully believe in like, if you're going to rock IPS, a big part is over communication. I think it's important, whatever you're going to do, but like, especially with higher pricing and with how different it is, people, they're not used to that. It's kind of like an old fashioned method.
Yeah.
Uh, Communication's everything. I never want clients to feel like I'm just like, what was it, switch and bait or whatever.
Oh, bait and switch.
Bait and switch. That's what it is. Yeah. I never want them to feel like that. So that's really what I do, and I love it. It allows me to take on less people per year. And yeah, I put more energy into the ones I take on, but I'm not like necessarily working more. I'm
Yeah.
just,
And just that work-life balance is worth money by
yeah.
itself.
Yeah. And it's just where you're putting your energy really. And I just decided I'd rather, like, I love shooting, but like, I don't love it that much that's all I'd want to be doing.
Yeah.
Like, I love the other parts of the business. I love the hanging out with my clients, sitting down with them, seeing them several times, not just shooting with them, but like sitting down with them. And I love like ordering prints and editing and all that stuff. So that's really what I do with the IPS business model.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people over the years ask me why I don't really do IPS. And to be
Mm-hmm.
honest, I just have a personality type that doesn't really like sitting down and like going
Right.
over all the different details. And
Yeah.
I just don't have the personality for it.
Yeah.
And for me, a lot of it, I think, I could be totally wrong on this, but since I have that background in fashion photography, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
do IPS at all in fashion
Right.
photography because you just don't do that. You have the licensing that you sell.
Yeah.
And so you have the expectation setting really early on in the stages of selling that particular commercial client.
Yeah.
And I got really good at doing that through my
Mm-hmm.
background in fashion, where I took that forward into weddings. And
Yeah.
now I'm still selling albums, I'm still selling artwork, but I'm doing everything online and I don't do in-person sales.
Right.
And not because like how I market myself, I actually have a lot of out of state or even sometimes out of country clients flying into the area where I live near Seattle. And so in-person sales becomes a little bit more difficult, obviously.
Oh yeah.
And so then it becomes kind of like a quasi virtual IPS where I'm still having to incentivize them to buy this artwork after the fact. And
Mm-hmm.
in order for me to try to up my artwork sales at the time of booking, sometimes I even give like a perceived discount.
Yeah.
So I say, hey, if you're going to book this right now, you're going to have, let's say 20% off this product. Whereas if you buy after, it's going to be full price.
Right.
And so they have this urgency and scarcity kind of mindset going into their purchase of that particular wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm able to take my, let's say $3,750 or $4,000 base rate and turn that into $6,000 or $7,000 for
Yes.
that particular wedding.
Right. Yes. And I've seen a lot of wedding photographers that do that hybrid. Like I'll say when I do shoot a wedding, I don't do IPS. I do that basically because yeah, it's just a totally different genre. It's not like portrait photography. You know,
Yeah.
you've got thousands of photos to look through instead of like 100 for one. And yeah, you get a lot, like weddings are a big traveling thing.
Yeah.
And I know for me, like when I get like seniors out of town and stuff, like I've actually built a package for my like my seniors that are out of town, just because doing the full IPS just gets a little too stressful. Like I could do it online, but people have a hard time working with the internet and like,
Yeah.
it just makes it a little more complicated. So that's when it's so cool that you can opt to do that hybrid, which, I see tons of people do.
Yeah.
And I've done myself, and it works super duper well. Like I have friends that do the same thing. And so, yeah, they go from, $5,000-$6,000 wedding packages to sometimes even 10, and
Yeah.
they even do the full, like sitting down in person.
Yeah. Totally.
As long as you're priced right. That's what I always tell people. I'm like, I don't care how you do it. You just got to price yourself right. You just
Yeah.
got to make sure that everything, if you're selling an album or you're including it, that the album is priced to make you the correct profit after
Yeah.
taxes and stuff.
100%.
So yeah, so it's always just about, what you want to offer. And that's so funny that you say it's not your personality, because for me, I do occasionally, like for friends and family, just, I shoot them digitals. I'm like, okay, there you go, have fun, because they're friends. But at the end of it, I'm like, I feel so like empty. Like I just sit here and I'm like, something's missing. Like something's missing in my life. And that's because I'm super extroverted, super people person. I feed on being around them. But yeah, if
Yeah.
you're not,
I'm mostly an introvert from what I've learned over the years.
yeah, I'm like, if you're not, then don't do it, because you probably won't love it that much,
Yeah,
So
and for everyone that's listening, like, don't get me wrong, like, I'm a big believer in IPS because I know that it works. There's countless success stories with IPS, and Makayla is one of them. And that's exactly why I brought on Makayla onto this chat, because it goes to show wedding and portrait photographers who are listening that you can have success with either method. It's just a matter of how well that you run your business, how great you are with lead generation, and how well that you can increase your conversion rates when you get those inquiries from clients.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
Makayla, were you always an IPS based photographer, or was there a time where you sent over digitals only? And if you weren't always an IPS model, how did it go with this switch over?
Yeah, so I totally just sent digitals all through high school. I started shooting for people in high school, and that's what I knew. That's what I did. Gave them a disc, because those
Yeah.
exist still. And then when I went full time in 2015, when I started at Bella Baby, I was still giving digitals, and like I was at like 375, and you get like 30 photos. Boom.
Yeah.
And then I went to a Click Away conference that October. And I saw Sue Bryce talk, and she was inspiring and amazing. And I was like, okay, you know what? I want to just do this full service thing. I kind of just jumped into it. Going back now, there were probably better steps I could have taken. But because I had barely gone full time anyways, I kind of just felt like, you know what? Like, I'm just going to start over. And so I just dove into it. I joined a lot of Facebook like communities to learn more about it, to learn how I should be pricing. Started off pretty low just because I wasn't used to it, and you're scared. My first $600 sale, I almost threw up. And now it's like, if I don't make $2,500 sales, I'm like, dang, that wasn't very good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really wasn't. I mean, I guess in my mind, I was just not scared because I'm like, this is what I want to do. And if people don't like it, then they can find somebody else.
Right.
That's my mindset always. But I know that that's usually people's biggest hesitation is like, okay, well, how do I make the switch? And one, the biggest thing is you need to make sure you just research and like invest in education. You don't want to just be guessing, because you have to incorporate marketing and sales strategies into it and be smart. And then you also just have to really get over like, oh, well, I'm going to lose old clients, because if you're thinking about doing IPS, then your old clients aren't your clients.
Yeah.
And maybe some of them are, you could tell them, hey, I'm switching to this, and you can expect to invest more, but this is why it's awesome and like what you're getting with it. But you just have to kind of let that go and just decide, okay, my old clients can go find another photographer if what I have to offer them isn't what they want.
Yeah.
And you'll find new ones, and you have to market for those new clients. You have to go, you have to make sure that what you put out there, it's like, your ideal client. That's the biggest thing with switching to IPS. You have to know your ideal client, who they are, age group, demographic, where they shop, what they, you have to know those specifics so that you can really go out and find them. There was a little bit of a lag, like when I first went to IPS, but that was just because I was like posting these numbers on my website. And so I wasn't even getting inquiries. And I just found out really quickly, like, oh, I don't want to scare them away with a number before they're invested in me. And so I just got rid of that on my website. And after that, I started getting inquiries, and I would use that first email as an opportunity to just really sell what I had.
Right.
And generate those, turn those leads into bookings.
Yeah, and I love that you brought up education too, because I mean, over the last 10 years, I can speak from personal experience here, because living in a relatively small town, because we don't live in New York City, we don't live in Los Angeles,
right?
These big hubs,
yeah.
And in Seattle, I'll speak for myself here, and let me know if you ever felt the same way. But it was really easy to build a big brand because it's a relatively small market. And so when
right.
you get that kind of mentality of like, oh, look at me, look at me, look at me, it was easy to get that ego associated with kind of becoming amongst, let's say, and I don't want to have everyone here to think that I'm just egotistical.
Right.
But when you kind of hit it within like the 10% top of the market relatively quickly, it's easy to get that ego, but that ego can then destroy your business because you think then you kind of know everything.
Yeah.
And hitting that 10% top of the market, you don't even necessarily make a lot of money. It's just that you're well known.
Yes, exactly.
And so for me, I wasn't investing into education for probably 5-6 years of my photography career. And that put me back because I could have been making six figures a heck of a lot faster if I just chose to get over myself and hire some people, attend workshops, do whatever was necessary in order to learn the business side and not just the creative photography side.
Right.
So that's what I really say to everyone that they really should do, because it's worth it. Like if you spend $1,000 on a workshop, $2,000 on a workshop, 3,000, whatever it is, if you book just one additional client, it's going to most likely hit your return on investment. And now that's just your knowledge for you to just profit from then on out.
Yep. No, I totally agree. And it's funny you say that, because that's something I've always had to just really make sure I check myself in, because I invested in education and and it, got me to where I'm at today.
Yeah.
And then for a while I stopped investing in it because when I was going to these workshops and I'm like, okay, so what I'm learning here is that I already knew all this. I just didn't believe in myself. And that's when I started actually mentoring other people and realizing, okay, I know more than I give myself credit for. But that's something I do have to remind myself, because being in a smaller town, I don't even have that many followers, and I don't shoot that many people a year. And I still get, when I walk around, oh, you're Makayla Madden. And I'm like, yeah. I'm just here to get soup. I don't know you, and I'm sorry, but and it gets so easy to let yourself get prideful. But I'm always checking myself, and my motto is you should never know everything, because you don't.
Yeah, as I've said on previous podcast episodes, the moment that you stop educating yourself is the moment that your business starts to die.
Exactly. So that's what I've really been focusing back on, is okay, really what it does is just pushes you to be around next level people, you know, because I've surpassed some of those workshops I went to. I was so oh my gosh, how do you know this stuff? And now it's wow, I'm going to be one of those speakers at one of those workshops. So now what's the next level? Who do I put myself around? Because you're going to be the, 5 people you surround yourself with most.
Yeah.
So it really just pushes you to be okay, need to find some new people so that I grow more and don't stay stagnant or go backwards.
Yeah, exactly. Because what I noticed, especially I would say in 2017, is that my income dramatically started to rise in 2017. And I noticed, kind of looking back on it, okay, well, what did I do differently? The one big thing is I hired a mindset coach that cost me $3,500 by itself. And that was just to help me with mindset.
Right.
And so once I kind of realized, okay, well, I fixed my mindset, it helped me increase everything that I was doing in both my personal life, in my marriage, in my business. Everything that I was doing was being improved because of my mindset switch. And so I said in 2018, okay, let's double down on investing into my personal life and into my business as well. And now that 2018 is done, I had my bookkeeper run my profit and loss statement, and it looks like I invested around $25,000 on education.
Wow.
But that, like, I was able to get my return on investment from all of
Right.
that already.
Right. Yeah. Well,
So
it comes back so fast.
yeah, I mean, even though I invested like 25 grand, like who cares, because I made more,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Right. And it's a write-off.
Yeah.
Also, I tell people, I'm like, you also get to write it off. So like, don't worry too much. I mean, you're not, totally losing $25,000. You're going to
Yeah.
make, and then also get some money back.
Yeah. Cause it's not a cost, it's an investment.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
But you live outside of a town of Boise, Idaho. The population there is not huge. And
Mm-hmm.
I've heard countless photographers over the years create excuses over why they cannot create a six-figure income when they don't live in a metropolis of millions of people. And obviously, you have been able to make it happen. So would you be able to share a couple of the best methods that you found to reach clients who are wanting to book a portrait photographer and buy those products?
Absolutely. So yeah, I get that a lot from people, small town. And I grew up in a small town. Yeah, I grew up in Kuna, super tiny. And a lot of my clients now are from Kuna. And I live in Meridian now. And the biggest thing that I always tell people, and I always usually switch back to like retail or food industry because it's more commonly like understood by people,
Yeah.
is that, no matter what town you're in, there's always going to be someone who wants like Nordstrom Rack, and there's always going to be someone who wants Target. Like,
Yeah.
there's just, and everything in between. And so it really does come down to your mindset. Number one is just stop making excuses. Stop telling yourself that you can't, because if you say that, you're not going to find them. Like, they're not going to be attracted to you, and you're not going to attract them. And in every single town, there's always going to be somebody who, wants like professional and like wants to pay a professional for it. And then if there really isn't, like there's nobody, then you just go to the next town over. Like, I'm sorry, there's always somebody around you. And really what it comes down to is like, if you're going to stay at that like bottom tier, like, cheap photography because you're scared that no one's going to pay for prices, all you're doing is creating more competition for yourself because everybody's thinking like that.
Yeah.
And when you raise your prices and go to that higher market, yes, there's fewer clients, but like you don't need to take on that many, so it doesn't matter. And also there's fewer photographers, so you'll actually stand out more. And so really, again, it just comes down to, you have to know your ideal client. Like you have to get really specific with it. Not just like, oh yeah, my ideal client, some 30-year-old mom. Like, you have to get specific. You have to say, where do they live? Where are they shopping at? What do they do on social media? Where are they at on social media? How can you reach them? What salons do they go to? Like just what do they do on their day-to-day life? And then use hashtags, go network, do whatever you need to do to be around those people, leave business cards in those salons, like partner with other businesses to put yourself out there, and set yourself apart. And then I also believe in just fully disclosing, like just showing what you do on social media. Like I like to show products on there, and they know, okay, when you book Makayla, you have the option to get these gorgeous albums. That's what a lot of my seniors come to me knowing. They're like, I know my parents know that they want a senior album. And yeah, just really just stop making excuses, because there's always going to be somebody who's going to pay your pricing. And even if you have to drive outside of your town, because you're making more, you can afford to do that. You can afford to take that extra time. Like, you're taking on less. So yeah, maybe you drive an hour now instead of 10, 15 minutes, but like you're making 3, 4, 5 times as much.
Yeah.
So you
hire a personal driver to take you there.
Yeah, like you can do that. There's always somebody. I'm sorry, in small towns, there's always people who they actually look outside of town because there's no photographers in their town that offer what they want, what they're looking for. They want like the name brand cool stuff.
Like,
So,
I actually live in a suburb north of Seattle. I live about an hour north of Seattle. And what I've noticed is that even some of my neighbors, they work in downtown Seattle, make a lot of money in downtown Seattle. They just don't want to live in a big city.
Right.
So they come out to the country, and they want to just have that nice, peaceful lifestyle. So,
well, yeah, and it's lower. I mean, people who are making enough money to invest into portraits are usually smart with their money. So they understand, to have a lot of money, live beyond, below your means. So like they understand, I can work in a big city, make a ton of money, but live out here, not in the city. Right. And also my cost of living's way cheaper. So I have more disposable income.
100%.
Yeah.
And so for those listening in and for those who are wanting to get either into the IPS world or just to level up their sales within the IPS method, how necessary do you feel it is to have your own studio space to increase your brand perception and increase your sales numbers?
I would not say it's necessary, honestly, at all. Like, it's nice to have, but I just got my studio a few months ago. Like,
Yeah.
I just got that, and before that, I was still making, plenty of sales. I was booking, the same amount of clients per year,
Yeah.
and I worked with what I had. I met people at coffee shops, but I still found coffee shops that reflected my brand.
Right.
And I was meeting people in their homes. So they didn't need to come to me. I was coming to them, bringing samples to them. And when I did have people come to my house to see their photos, I made that was something that I went into it with. I was like, okay, I want to make this room a nice little space where people can come. And I still just made like those little personal touches, like within other ways of branding and marketing. Like I sent welcome packets and still offered them food if they were at my place and bought their coffee when I was at the coffee shop. And I shoot, primarily outdoors for my seniors. So it wasn't a big deal. Like that's my studio is outside. And then with my boudoir clients, I found a studio that was gorgeous, that was, you know, what I wanted. And I just rented it out hourly. And I just said, okay, like this is the studio fee if you want to shoot in here. So it's really
Yeah,
just all
super
about like
smart.
your mindset. Like you don't
Yeah.
need to have the best. You just have to work with what you've got and be the best at that.
And I love that we keep coming back to mindset because it's so,
Yeah.
so, so,
It's
so
all
important.
mindset. It's
Yeah.
all mindset.
Yeah. So everyone listening, mindset, mindset, mindset. Like that comes back to literally every kind of business strategy that you do. You
Everything.
first need to get your mindset right and then follow through with those strategies.
Yeah. And brand perception is not just about a studio. Brand perception is what you are and what you're putting out there, what your
Yeah.
photos,
Yeah.
everything, the little stuff, your website, how you respond to emails, how you actually correspond with clients,
Yep.
all that stuff is part of brand perception. And a studio is definitely not necessary. It was just something that I knew I wanted for the convenience and to work smarter, not harder. So, yeah.
No, I love that. Have you found any particular niche of portrait photography to be more profitable than others?
So at this point, no, only because I've done, I do boudoir, I do seniors, I do family. Now, seniors, I've found you can make more. I mean, for a while though, like I just gave myself an excuse. Like I gave
Yeah.
myself an excuse of like, okay, I shouldn't, my boudoir packages should be, and like products should be a little cheaper than my seniors because it's not a necessity. Senior and family photography is a necessity. This year though, I took my own advice and like my husband told me, he's like, you need to stop that. Like you tell people all the time not to make excuses. And if people want you, you're one of the only boudoir photographers around here. So
Yeah.
capitalize on that.
Yeah.
And so I took the leap and I raised all my stuff. So it's pretty even across the board. I just offer different things for different types. And, in all areas, you'll find some people who spend a lot and some people who don't spend as much. But I mean, I've had people that spend $3,500 on boudoir and $3,500 on seniors and $3,500 on family photos.
Yeah, because
It's
there's always going to be someone that values whatever you're trying to sell. It's just a matter of targeting that ideal client.
exactly. And yeah, and it's all about just like, okay, I want this product, And so if I put a certain value on that product and they want it, they're going to pay that. So yeah, I haven't found, I mean, my studio business partner, I know she just made a $7,000 sale and it was on a pretty simple, it was just like a beauty headshots. It wasn't boudoir. It wasn't business headshots. It was just a woman who wanted to feel pretty and wear a nice dress and get nice photos. And she spent $7,000 on those.
Yeah, I
So,
love that.
I mean, I don't think there's one more profitable than the other. It just depends on how you market.
Yeah. Would you be able to share your best kind of lead generation sources like Facebook ads, Google ads, Instagram, or whatever else you're using?
Yeah. So Instagram was my big one, and this is hard because it's pretty even across the board. I've tried really hard to build all platforms, and because I have certain clients in one area and certain clients in another,
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like I want my hand in the pot in every area.
No, it's
Um,
good.
so I mean, for boudoir, a big this is actually really hard because it's super even. I've built my SEO really well. like considering the fact I didn't hire anybody to do my website. So like I now get a lot of bookings from Google, or at least, yeah, I get a lot of leads from Google. I wouldn't
Yeah.
say I book as much with Google because it's more people just like, I need boudoir and they see my name. They're not necessarily invested in me yet.
Yeah.
But I get a ton of leads from Google. I get a lot of leads from a private boudoir VIP group on Facebook.
Nice.
It's a safe, secure place for women only, and I can share a lot more there. And it's really intimate.
Yeah.
And I get a ton of people from that because they're people who are like, man, I've been in your group for 2 years and I'm ready to do it. And I'm like, you were? I haven't seen you in there. They see what you post.
Yeah, you're never
And
sure
then
on who's looking, right?
yeah, and then word of mouth's a big one. Like I get a lot of word of mouth. You know, my friend said to come to you. And then with my seniors, a big area for that is like Instagram and word of mouth.
Yeah.
And Pinterest. Pinterest is a big one for my seniors. I've used Pinterest a lot to just get traffic to my website, build the SEO, but just get people to my Instagram and website from there. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of all areas for me.
No, it's
There's
awesome
not
because
one
it's
that's over
different
the
for
other.
everybody, right? Because like
Yeah.
if you're killing it with like SEO and you're killing it with like your word of mouth and referrals and just kind of building out your brand organically, like just do what works. Keep on trucking with it because obviously it's not broken, so don't fix it.
Yeah, I don't use ads, if that, like, to just clarify. Like I don't think I've ever run a Facebook ad or Instagram ad because I just don't do it. I'm like, meh. I've boosted like one pin this like 2 weeks ago just to see
Yeah.
what happened, and I don't know, nothing really happened. So I just use hashtags. I'm like, yay! Like,
Yeah, I mean, as of today, I've never run a Facebook ad to my wedding business. I would say about 70% of my leads come through Google organic searches from
yeah,
like SEO efforts.
yeah, yeah,
Probably like 15% come from Instagram, but not Instagram ads, just organic Instagram,
yeah.
like hashtag strategies and all that kind of stuff.
Stories, followings, yeah.
Yeah, and then just like referrals, being on preferred vendors lists, like just a lot of organic efforts that I've put in over the years.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't do a heck of a lot of paid advertising for my wedding business. For anyone who's a wedding photographer listening here, I do have listings on Wedding Wire and The Knot. I used to have some on the Little Black Book for Style Me Pretty. I used to have some on Gray Likes Weddings, but a lot of those sources don't really work as effective for me compared to my SEO efforts.
Yeah.
Like I have a 6-figure business purely based off of SEO, and then everything else is just kind of on top of that.
Yeah.
So double down on SEO, as you can hear from Makayla here, as well as myself, because it just works. And that's something that's going to be great for you long term, rather than constantly dumping money into ads.
Yeah, into the knot.
But if people are wanting to like do, let's say, destination weddings, I'll have a different podcast episode about this. But for destination weddings, I highly recommend doing Google ads as well as doubling down on SEO. For your local, if you want to have leads right now, ads for sure, because you can have leads coming in from the second you run that ad out, as long as you target your ideal client correctly.
Yeah.
But Makayla, before I let you go, if you could give one final piece of advice for those who are looking to level up their portrait photography business, what would that be?
Well, I kind of already hit on it, but education.
Yeah.
Find somebody, whether it's one-on-one, whether it's a workshop, find somebody that you want to learn from, and that like, okay, I aspire to be like you. Don't copy them, but like figure out, okay, what worked for you, and then like, how can I make this, how can I tweak it and apply it to my business? Because it's
like 1,000%. Like I agree with you. Like every educator listening here, that they're going to agree with you. And it's weird because like I feel salesy once in a while, to be honest, because like I really do want to help people. Like I honestly feel more passionate about helping people than I do even about photography, just to be 100% transparent about that. But I try to get people inside of my own programs because I just want to help, because I know that the things work, and because I've seen my students have big results.
Yeah.
So for anyone listening who's on the fence about hopping in with coaching with Makayla or buying into one of my courses, honestly, just do it, because just look at the results that the students have when they sign up. Like that's the one thing. Like don't have anyone's name on a pedestal. Don't be buying into someone's brand. Just look at the students' results that they have, and then base your investment over something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Makayla, where can everyone go to learn more from you?
From me, you can go to my website if you're interested in mentoring. I have if you go to makaylamadden.com, there's a mentoring thing you can click on. You can learn more about one-on-one with me, studio classes we offer, or you can come to go to my Instagram, Makayla Madden Photo, and I have a lot of tips throughout my pages, throughout my story highlights, and then you can also just, we can talk one-on-one more and get you connected with a mentoring session.
Love that. And I really, really, really appreciate you being here with me today. And just thank you so much for sharing so much valuable info.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm super honored and love talking to you.
Yeah, that was really, really fun. I'll talk to you really soon.
Okay, sounds good.
So there you have it. Makayla is a total badass. She's crushing it in her business, and it's only up from here for her. And I hope that you found this episode of the Elevate Show super helpful. And if you did love it, please subscribe, rate, and review. Share this episode with your friends and tag Makayla and I, because we want to help you in any way that we can. Just reach out to us. And as always, find us on Facebook and let's just be friends. And until then, I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. This episode of the Elevate Podcast with me, Kyle Goldie, has ended, but be sure to subscribe for more actionable tips, tricks, and strategies to help you crush your goals and elevate your life. Don't forget to rate and review so that I can continue to help bring you the absolute best content and help you set yourself up to win. I'm going to see you on the next episode of the Elevate Podcast.